If you have two identical sales reps with the exact same sales ability, one can literally double the performance of the other just by what I'm about to show you today. So in today's video, I'm going to be walking through CRM best practices, everything from what your page layout should be, your smart list, your pipeline views, everything that you need to set up your CRM to run like a seven-figure operation. Now, if you're new to this channel, all we do is we teach individual wholesalers how to get to 7 figures per year. And then from there, how to train their reps to get to 7 figures per year each. So that way you can run a multiple 7-figure business. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. As always, I have a banger for you guys. Now, before we jump in, it's important to know that your CRM really has two functions. Number one, to give you accurate data to be able to make decisions off of. And number two, to be able to manage your leads in the easiest and most efficient way. And so when I say to give you accurate data, I see this all the time when people jump into our advanced group where they have their CRM set up. They have the ability to check off qualified leads and appointments, but they're not actually using it. So they never know what's really going on inside of their business. And so you need to make sure that you have simplicity in your business. And the next thing is you need to be able to manage your leads efficiently. And so you shouldn't just be hopping into your CRM and going off of how you feel or going off of your memory of which leads you're supposed to call. All of that should be automated. A monkey should be able to go inside your CRM and literally know exactly who to call, when to call them, and how often to call them. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is your page layout. And so with your page layout, one of the most common mistakes that I see is I see people that have these super complicated, like complex, tons of fields everywhere, and none of them are being used. So for example, a lot of the go high level white labels, you'll see all these fields with like property condition and different types of offers and mortgage amounts and what type of house it is. And no one's even using those fields. If you're not using the fields, just go ahead and take them out and use the fields that are actually required. This is one of the reasons that I love Resimpli is it gives you very, very simplistic views of your leads. And so they don't have a ton of fields where you're not going to be using them. They give you the stuff that you're actually going to use. Let's look at what you actually do need. Now, obviously you need the address, the name, the phone, the lead source, and the date that it was created. Those are all pretty simple. Typically you'll have your communication and task. If you're in like a go high level account, that's up in the middle. If you're in like a Salesforce or a Resimpli, that's over here on the right. Resimpli makes it super easy because they kind of have everything in one view. If you're using like Podio, Salesforce, it can be off and to the side, a little bit hard to use, but you can still definitely do it. That's not what's important. We're not going to be talking about what the best CRM is. We're just going to be talking about how to set it up and what fields you need. So once you have those fields, these are the basic necessities. You should have your acquisitions manager, your lead manager, your notes, and then any tasks that are assigned to that lead. And then from there, you have your KPI track. And so it's important that your team is actually using these KPIs. I do a lot more than just track contacted, appointment set, offer under contract, and close. I have an entire 7-page document for CRM best practices, along with a video that I give to my advanced inner circle students. Obviously, I'm not going to give that away today for free, but this will be enough for you to at least get set up. So if you have a contacted box, it should just be able to say yes or no. Resimpli has that qualified lead box. It's up at the top right here, and you can use that as your contacted box. This will just show you how many leads are you getting versus how many you're actually speaking to that are sellers. From there, we have was an appointment set. Now you should be able to track your metrics off of this. So if there was an appointment, you can just do a drop down yes or no or a checkbox, something like that. And simply, it's just it's an actual field. You hit appointment set, put all the information there. Podio, you would just do something like this, right? So you have your appointment set, you have your offers made. That's pretty self-explanatory, under contract and closed deals. What I also like to track is I like to track my appointment time, the date and time. I like to have the offer date and time. That helps me if I'm ever trying to go back and see who we haven't made an offer on in the last 90 days, 120 days. Obviously, I want the offer amount is the seller bottom dollar. The reason that I use this is I like to be able to filter between all the leads that, let's say the offer amount is $500,000, seller bottom dollar is $530,000. So there's a $30,000 gap. I can look in my CRM and see anything that's below a $30,000 gap, and I can start attacking those leads. I can create a smart list just off of that. And then we've got revenue made. Now I have some other things that I have in my CRM, but these are the basics to be able to track your KPIs. So you can track how many leads did you get, how many were contacted, how many turned into appointments, how many did you make offers on, how many did you get under contract, and how many were closed deals. You've got all your notes, your tasks, your team, and your communications right here. So your page layout should not look much more complex than this. It shouldn't have too much more. There can be a couple of other things, but if you have all these fields and nobody's using them, you just need to take them out because they are cluttering up your CRM. The next thing we're going to talk about is pipeline views. Okay. So pipeline views, we're going to use these as buckets. And so the only reason that you have these buckets is it tells you how often you should be calling your leads. Okay. That's the only reason you have these buckets. It helps you manage your pipeline and go, okay, how often should I actually be calling these? So I'm going to start all the way from the left and we're going to go through everything. So the first thing is my new leads. These are going to be all uncontacted leads for the first 14 days. After 14 days, they should automatically move to another bucket. And so I have these because I know my team needs to call these leads 16 times in the first 14 days. 3 times first day, 2 times second day, 1 time day 3 through 14. That's the minimum standard. And I'm going to show you guys how to create smart lists off of this after that. From there, I'm going to have my follow-up leads. And so these are going to be all of the leads that I'm going to call every 90 days. So 2 people fall into this bucket. 1, these are uncontacted leads that I've been trying to get in touch with for at least 6 months, or people I've spoken to where maybe I've given them an offer or I spoke to them and they're super far apart on the offer. They're like nowhere even close, not even a big deal if they sell the property. So I'm going to call them once a quarter. Or people that say, hey, I'm 6 months or more from selling the property, or people that are super unmotivated. They kind of all fall into this follow-up bucket where I'm calling them at least once a quarter. It's important that you have this because this is how we're going to set up our smart. Now from there, we have our working lead. Okay. Our working leads are going to be our monthly follow-up. So I'll actually write that in there. So this is going to be every 30 days. Now these leads are leads that are 3 to 6 months from selling. So they're not quite ready for an appointment. They are people that we haven't gotten in touch with in the first 14 days. So I'm still going to call all of those people once a month, or somebody that I made an offer on. It's not really a big deal if they don't sell the property, but I think that it's worth me following up at least once a month. Maybe it will be in the next 3 months. So I'm going to call them at least once a month. And so those are my working leads. From there, I have my appointments set. So this is a bucket. If you want to make it really easy, if you move somebody into this bucket, just trigger a flow that says, okay, my appointment set automatically gets checked off. So we have our appointment set bucket. These are just people with an active appointment. Now, if you're running a setter closer model, meaning you have lead managers that are booking you appointments, this is where they're going to move them into. If you're running a direct to close model, you won't have a lot in there. Typically, they're just going to go directly into like the offer made, the negotiations bucket. And so when you're looking at this bucket, this should not be completely full. It should just have the appointments for that day because they should move out of there pretty quickly. And so with this appointment, my only thing that I need to have every single time is I need to have an appointment date time filled out and a clear next step of when that appointment is. And if they do not show up for that appointment, then I'm going to move them into no show. And so before I do that, I have a cadence for appointment set. I have a 3-2-1 cadence, meaning I am going to treat these just like new leads. I'm going to call them the time of the appointment, 15 minutes later, and then an hour later. If they don't answer, I'm going to move them into no show and I'm going to begin my next cadence. My next cadence is our no show appointment. My next bucket is my no show appointments. These are people that obviously didn't show up for their appointment. And I am going to call them 3 times first day, 2 times second day, 1 time day 3 through 14, just like I would treat a new lead. Now, the only difference is they're going to have different drip campaigns. So in our advanced group, I give away our drip campaigns for each one of these buckets. So I give away the new leads drip campaign with all the texts that we send. They're NEPQ style texts that go up for the follow-up working leads, and they're texted and emailed according to what bucket they're in. So I have automated drip campaigns that go out the second they get into one of these buckets. From there, we have our appointment set that have our appointment reminders. And then we have our no-shows that obviously they didn't show up for the appointment. So we are going to text them and say, hey, I noticed that you didn't show up for your appointment. Let me know what time to reschedule. It's going to text them at least 2 times the first day and start following a similar cadence to the new leads. The only difference is what it actually says. After that, we have our warm follow-ups. And so these are people, the warm follow-ups and negotiations are only post offer. Okay. After we make the offer, they're going to go into one of 2 buckets, really 4 buckets, but one of 2 categories. So warm follow-up and negotiations means it's a big deal if they don't sell the house in the next 90 days. Like they are going to be selling the house. I'm going to break up warm follow-up and negotiations based off of price. And then I've got my follow-up leads and my working leads. These are leads that we've made an offer on, but it's not really a big deal if they don't sell. I would just keep it. I can just keep it for another couple of years until the prices go up. I'll either move those into follow-up or working. But let's talk about the difference between warm follow-up and negotiation. Number 1 is a warm follow-up means that you are farther apart on your price than your average deal size. So if your average deal size is 20 grand, your MAO is 500,000. So your max allowable double offer is 500,000. And the seller says, hey, I'm not taking anything less than 540. You went through all your objection handling. You couldn't do anything. 540 was their bottom dollar. But you know it's a big deal if they don't sell the property. What you're going to do is you're going to find out what their next steps are. So what are your next steps from here? They're like, well, I'm going to go talk to other companies. Okay, what if all the companies come back at 500? You still have to sell the house, right? They're like, yeah, I still have to sell the house. All right, well, let me call you back in a week after you do that. So your warm follow-ups are going to be your weekly follow-ups. And these are people that are too far apart from your offer to be considered a negotiation. Now, my negotiations are going to be the people that I'm looking at every single day. I'm looking at my negotiations every single day. These are people that it's a big deal if they don't sell, and they're within our average deal size. So if our average deal size is 20 grand, we're at 500, the seller's at 515. That's a closable deal all day. So with these leads, if you are a sales manager, this is your pipeline for you to go through and you to start listening to the salesperson's call when they call them back, coaching them live on the spot. If it's your own call, this is the bucket that you are going to pay the most attention to. And so to do a quick recap, we have our new leads, our follow-up leads, our working leads, appointment set, no-show, warm follow-up, and negotiations. For you guys that are in Simply, you won't be able to use this no-show because right now, at least as of the date of this recording, they don't have enough buckets. So you'll just take out the no-show and you'll use that as a tag, or you can do a smart list. Now we'll show you those in a second. So we covered the buckets, we covered the page layout. The next thing is going to be your smart list. So your smart lists are your monkey list, meaning that somebody could just come in your CRM, they have no idea how to use it, and they know exactly who to call that day. The thing that's not in here, which I probably should add, is like the first thing is all of your overdue tasks. So your tasks for that day, really simple to set that up. Just go into your filters and look at task and then look at past due. Those are the first people that your team's going to call. After that, they're going to go into their negotiations attack list. These are going to be all of the leads that are in the negotiations bucket and haven't been called in the last 24 hours. These are the people that are going to be the most likely to close. It's the first people that your team's going to call. Once they get through all of those, they're going to go through the warm follow-up attack list. So these are all the leads that are in warm follow-up, but haven't been called in the last 7 days. So I will do last outgoing call more than 7 days, and they are in the bucket of warm follow-up. That's the next person, the next list that my team's going to start calling. From there, they're going to go through their new leads attack list. So the new leads attack list, if you are in a CRM that allows you to do this is the best way is, hey, they haven't been called 3 times the first day, 2 times the second day, 1 time day 3 through 14. If you don't have the ability to do that, just type in all uncontacted leads and the lead created date is last 14 days. That's another really easy way to do it. That will be your new leads attack list. Once they get through those, they're going to go through their no-show attack list because they're going to be treating them just like their new leads. Now, they should be able to get to all of these every single day. You shouldn't, their pipeline, they can't get to these. They have way too many leads inside their pipeline. So no-show last 7 days, really simple filter. Appointment is no-show bucket is there, or they have that tag of they are a no-show, and the created date of the appointment is last 7 days. Super easy to set that up inside of our CRM best practices. Obviously, I have like the exact filters for each CRM, like Podio, Simply, Salesforce, Go High Level. All of those, we have the actual filters that you need to set that up. But you guys can figure it out because you're watching this for free on YouTube, and I'm not going to go into every CRM right now. Okay, then we have our appointments with no offers. So these are like more of a broad list. These are all of the appointments that you've booked in the past, but they don't have an offer. This is where we're getting away from the time frame of the leads that have been created recently, and we're going to start going into the stratosphere of all the leads inside of our CRM. So I'm going to go into all the appointments that have been set, but they haven't had an offer yet, and I'm going to start calling through all of those. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go through my working leads attack list. Now, as we mentioned, working leads should be called monthly, so I'll create an attack list that the last outgoing call is more than 30 days, and they're in the working leads attack list. I have the exact same thing for my follow-up attack list. Like I said, these are going to be the least likely to close. So we started with the most likely to close, and now we're going all the way to the least likely to close. The follow-up attack list is the every lead inside the follow-up bucket hasn't been called in the last 90 days. That's going to go into the follow-up attack list. And then from there, we have all of the unassigned leads. For whatever reason, if your team has any unassigned leads, they need to assign them to themselves so that way they can start walking through those. And so if your team follows this process, here's what's going to happen. You are going to get in front of the right person at the right time. And so think about all the leads in your CRM that said that they were going to sell in 6 months. And, maybe you didn't set a task for whatever reason. You can see that, okay, I haven't called anybody these people in the last 90 days. I should probably call that person. Because if they say 6 months, usually it actually means 90 days. And if they say 3 months, usually they're going to sell within a month. And that's why we put them in those buckets. And so if you guys want the entire CRM best practices SOP, I'm talking about 7 pages plus a video of how I use my CRM with live examples. I'm going to drop a link to our advanced group. And so you can apply. We coach people doing anywhere from $20,000 a month all the way to multiple 6 figures per month. Guys that have built companies up to $2 million a month. And we have daily sales training every single day. So this is just one of the things that we cover inside of our advanced group. We go super deep on this. Hopefully this helps you guys. If you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.